Revue. Äh, das lesbische das Spiel ist noch schlimmer. Ein Tag. Ja, einer der nächsten Releases. Ja, keiner schreibt irgendwas Gutes darüber. Keiner schreibt irgendwas Gutes über das Spiel. Ja, alles ist scheiße. Das Spiel ist einfach nicht gut. Es gibt keine Sterbeanimation. Wenn du stirbst, einfach schwarzer Bildschirm. Es ist einfach von jetzt auf, du gehst irgendwo hin, die schwarze Bildschirm und auf einmal bist du irgendwo anders. Ist die ganzen, weiß nicht, wie du hinkommen bist. Das war genau so. Ich bin in den Burg rein, wollte mich erkunden und auf einmal gehe ich irgendwo hin, Bildschirm wird schwarz und auf einmal bin ich beim Herrscher von der Burg so. Ich denke mir so, wieso? Wieso? Wie komme ich da hin? Das ist eine andere Sache. Wie komme ich da hin? Guck mal.
It's crazy how I usually give games the benefit of the doubt until they can prove themselves or not, right? Like that
Man,
feels fair at least. It
als ob
seems
die
like I
nicht,
really do need to stop doing that
nicht
after
genug
this
Zeit
game though.
hatten,
Because
nicht
everything
genug Geld
surrounding
oder weiß Gott oder
1348
keine
Ex
Lust mehr
Voto,
hatten,
that's
irgendwas
the
reinzumachen.
latest modern audience slop simulator, has proven that these sorts of games, man, they need to stop
Ja,
happening, dude. In
äh,
case you're actually sane
Game
and not
Over,
terminally
schwarzer
online like
Bildschirm,
me, you're probably
Ladebildschirm
thinking,
und
what
kommst
even
wieder
is
oben,
this game?
wo du
Well,
gestorben
my
bist.
friends, let us now delve into the world of medieval Italy and dissect the rotting corpse that has been
Ja,
spruced up
das ist
by the
auch,
games industry this time. So, in case you don't know, 1348 Ex Voto tells the story of Aieta, that's
also
a
die
female knight,
Hintergrund,
which is
Grafik
very
und so
bogus
weiter,
because female
sieht
knights
schön
never
aus.
existed.
Ah,
But that's
Grafik,
okay, because this is the
ah,
exact kind of game that you think it's going to be. You see, Aieta is in love with her childhood friend Bianca, who looks like a doll that someone brought to life as like an acid
das ist
flip
ein
on a
bisschen
corpse somewhere.
ekelhaft.
You see, the entire plot of Ex Voto is this, my
Aber,
god. So there's a
aber die
plague that's
Kämpfe,
ravaging a
boah.
village in which Aieta and Bianca live. Eventually, one day, these bandits come to town and they raid the entire village and they slaughter everybody.
Ja, du musst die Leiste jetzt mal runter machen, bis sie gestaggert sind. Dann kannst du die angreifen, um sie zu töten. Du kannst sie auch so treffen, aber das ist Glückssache. Weil die blocken meistens gefühlt alles ab, was du angreifst. Und erst, bis du die Leiste jetzt mal runter hast, das ist auch ein Kampf für sich.
Bianca is then kidnapped for some reason, and then Aieta vows to save her beloved and
Und
bring
dann kannst du jetzt
vengeance
zuschlagen und
upon
jetzt
those who
töten.
destroyed her home. It's at least a pretty simple and, effective setup, I guess. It leads to a lot of
Zeigen
nonsense,
die auch
however, because
Bosse?
this game, in case you don't
Ja, hier
know,
ist der
is about
Boss.
4 or 5 hours
Ja,
long at
okay.
best, depending on how good you are at it, and the game is also painfully linear as well. So the vast majority of the enemies that you do fight in the game are unsurprisingly white, angry men,
Ja.
in case you haven't yet realized the angle of a game like this that it's going with. Yes, you're another strong woman, again, fighting fully grown, able-bodied
Sagen wir
men and
so,
ending
lineare
them in Mortal Kombat because you're
Geschichte,
just
kein
so good at
Problem.
it. It will
Ist
never
mir
not
egal.
come across as stupid and
Aber
annoying,
die
but this is
Kämpfe,
the sort of game that feels like it
nein,
was destined to get
muss
made
nicht
in the
sein.
era of game development that ravaged the industry.
Und genau wie der Typ mit dem Messer. Der ist auch ein Abfuck gewesen. Der sticht so schnell zu, du weißt nicht, was er macht. Entweder macht er einen Stich oder irgendwann auf einmal macht er 3 Stiche hintereinander und raubt dir Leben
From about
ohne weiter.
2020 to 2024, but I guess
Eins,
this one just,
zwei, drei.
took a bit longer to cook, I guess. But according to, well, pretty much everybody, Ex Voto should have maybe let this thing never out of the kitchen to begin with. Get it? Because it stars women? Yeah, that's going to offend somebody watching this. It's a joke, relax. But the real joke is this game's Metacritic score. Before I even show you that, just take a guess, right? Like, please, just guess. What could it be?
Metascore 40. Das, Es geht wie wir mit den Kämpfen. Du musst reinkommen, wie gesagt, bis zum vorletzten Kapitel, ich habe nachgeschaut, wie viele Kapitel es gibt. Bis zum vorletzten ging eigentlich. Ich kam gut zurecht mit den Kämpfen. Aber dann haben die einen Kampf, einen Typen reingemacht. Einer mit der Stangenwaffe. Der ist so schlecht zu parieren, so schlecht auszuweichen. Der ist
Again, it's a lesbian night game
einfach
about
scheiße.
fighting angry white men in 2026. The industry would eat this sort of thing right up, right? So, like, what's the Metacritic? 75, 80, 85? Nope. As seen
40.
here, it's 53
Ah,
out
noch
of
mehr als ich.
100. Finger licking good. You gotta be kidding me, dude. All of this virtue signaling, placing the pieces meticulously to cater to the modern
Ich hätte
audience,
40
what
gemacht.
most reviewers would want to love to see. And even the people you pander to, they can't bring themselves to score this thing anywhere close to reasonably competent at best. 53 is a horrendous score. It's bafflingly bad, but not really surprising either. This is the same game, by the way, that the gamer, as seen here, said will be this year's best medieval game because it is a lesbian knight's love story. The gamer then went further in that same article. This was before launch, by the way, where they boldly claim why we
Ja,
need a
der Typ.
lesbian night game, as they say here. That's why I'd prefer to sidestep all the culture war drama in a world where some games feel desperate to pander
Die
to
sollten
the
das Spiel
loudest
meiden.
audiences. It's refreshing
Die
to see
sollten
a
auf jeden
game
Fall das Spiel
execute its
meiden.
own vision at its desires. Wow, these people are not self-aware at all, are they? Okay, but anyway, so remember all of this I just showed you, right? Okay, executing its own vision, right? It's the game we need all of this and whatever, right? Surely the gamer would review this game favorably then, right? Well, here's their official review, and they gave Ex Vorto a 5 out of 10. Finger licking good special. And wow, dude, look at those negatives too. The narrative is underbaked. It
2,5
doesn't
von
commit
5.
to any specific theme. Oh boy. Combat is repetitive. It lacks depth. It has difficulty spikes. Uh-oh.
Ja.
Platforming and exploration are simple and predictable, and a major third act twist simply doesn't land. Oh boy. Okay, so yeah, it looks like they did not like this game very much at all. And they found it to be a very frustrating and disappointing experience that fumbled all of its
Was
potential.
cool fand, waren die ganze Erkunden, wo du Sachen pinnen konntest für das Schwert. Hier, du konntest halt die Scheide ändern, wenn du was gewonnen hast, das Parierding, der Griff, was zu deinem Spielstil gepasst hat. Das fand
Experience
ich
that
cool.
fumbled all of its potential right out of the gate. Mind you, the team that made Ex Vorto is
Nur das hier fand ich ein bisschen ekelhaft. Zum Leveln musst du Papier finden, was im ganzen Gebiet versteckt war. Und ohne das Papier konntest du nicht leveln. Das ist ein bisschen scheiße. Weil viele Sachen kann ich nicht machen, weil mir das Papier fehlt. Das heißt, ja, hast du irgendwas verpasst in den Levels, hast du auch keine Upgrades zu machen können.
of its potential right out of the gate. Mind you, the team that made Ex Vorto is apparently a smaller team that is compiled of experienced game developers who have worked in the industry before. But based on any of the reviews you can find, you would think that this was their first time making a video game. And look, I get it, right? Making games is hard. I'm not here to say that otherwise, but with what was riding on this game, you would think that they would have landed this because the potential could have been what this kind of industry would need to shoot themselves up into the stratosphere with games like this. But what's crazy to me from all the reviews I saw, which ranged from bad to its average, is that there's no way the people who developed this, the studio is named Sedlio, by the way, or their publisher, that's Dear Villagers, which, by the way, is also a publisher that promotes games that hates people based on their political party choice, by the way, too. A reminder, in case you forgot, that Dear Villagers also published a game called Caravan Sandwich, which, as seen here, celebrated when Charlie Kirk clerk was shot. As also seen here, they said they have no pride for fascists, or here as well where they say that someone says to Caravan Sandwich that they are advocating for the death of free speech, and they just say it plainly there that yeah, they agree. And mind you that to this day, Caravan Sandwich is still being promoted and sold while being attached to Dear Villagers as a publisher, because they are very clearly a publisher that hates anyone who doesn't agree with them politically, and that's just the case if Caravan Sandwich is still a part of them. And again, this is the same publisher who published Ex Vorto, another game that pushes a sort of thing they want to see more of in the industry too. All birds of the same feather, if you will. It's kind of revolting, but it's also confusing because how did they not focus test this game at all and realize that, oh wow, not only is our game buggy, but basic things
Mhm.
like platforming and more can actually soft lock the game at times too. I get having to release your products during quarters to, hit your targets. Maybe that's why the game was forced to commit to a March 2020.
Ja, das habe ich auch meine Rezension geschrieben, wo ich über das Spiel geschrieben habe, wo ich ein bisschen stinkig war. Dass ich das Gefühl habe, die Entwickler haben das Spiel niemals selber gespielt. Weil wenn die es gespielt haben und die einzelnen Stellen nach hingekommen sind, dann hätten die gemerkt, da sind ein paar Gegner zu viel dabei. Oder ich muss ein bisschen meine Schwierigkeit gerade ein bisschen ändern. Ich habe einfach das Gefühl, ja, die Gegner bauen wir doch mal rein und dann, ja, wenn die überleben, gut, wenn nicht, ja, shit happens.
26 release date. But either way, it has become objectively clear that this game was not even remotely ready for release based on those reviews alone. They should have delayed it despite quarterly earnings, because if they fixed the game up and made it better, at least I guess it might have hit somewhere in the 70s on Metacritic, maybe, and garnered more of an audience than it already has. Look, I'm not saying this game was going to sell millions of copies, right? Of course not. But I mean, something was better than like what they got here instead. Because also a reminder that is seen here posted.
Weil das hab ich auch gehabt. Am Anfang vom Game kommst du halt sozusagen, ist ja gezeigt am Anfang in die Burg. Und da musst du nach oben gehen, gehst nach oben, da hast du noch zwei Typen zu besiegen. Bevor du in die Kirche kommst, nach dem Motto, Bianca ist nicht da, ich muss sie retten, bla bla. Ich habe einen getötet, der zweite ist am Leben geblieben, hat mich getötet. Ich musste wieder hochgehen. Das Problem war, die Treppe war hier, der Typ war hier. Die Wand hat mich geblockt. Ich konnte nicht zum Typ gehen, nicht töten. Ich habe irgendwie geschafft, mit den schweren Angriff nach vorne zu stechen, irgendwann so viele Stiche zu machen, dass er gestorben ist und nicht weiterging. Ansonsten, ich habe geladen, alles gemacht, es ging gar nichts.
On Ex Vorto's Twitter account, they proudly shared how they had over 250,000 wish lists for the game prior to its launch.
Boah, hat mich das damals
a lot of
aufgeregt.
wish lists for a game of this size. Surely those people would show up day one to support their game that was everything they hoped for, right? Well, here's the Steam charts. As you can see, they managed to hit a max concurrent player count of 427
Ja,
people.
einer war ich gewesen.
With that number already
Das war
climbing
eigentlich
to less
gewesen.
than half just a day later. My guess is the majority of the people who played this abomination were probably streamers or reviewers, since most normal people likely did not show up to buy the lesbian night game like they hoped. And look, like I said in my previous videos on Ex Vorto also, I gave this game the benefit of the doubt, alright? Because remember, it all started when Ex Vorto made fun of Knight's Path. Remember that other game by Polish developers, which is all about knights, sword fights, and combat and all that stuff? And Knight's Path's developers famously claimed that they would not put modern agenda stuff in their game when a user asked if the game would have gay romance options, and then the entire access media and the user started attacking the
Ja,
game, calling
ich
it
glaube, die
bigoted and woke.
250.000
Then
nach
Ex
der Wishlist
Vorto's
haben
developers, as
gewartet,
seen
bis
here,
die
said, don't forget
Rezession
the
von den
wishlist
anderen
as
Spielern
well as
rauskommt.
release date on
Und
your
dann
modern
entscheiden die,
agenda.
haben sie
That was
entschieden, ob
obviously a big
die das
stab in
kaufen oder
Knight's Path
nicht.
to dunk on them, and look at that, dude.
Und nach der
18,000 likes when
Rezession,
that first
nein.
post got posted. And when you look at those player numbers and the
Wenn ich
wish list,
könnte,
it keeps telling
würde
you
ich mein Geld auch
exactly what I have been
zurückverlangen,
saying
aber
for years
nach
now.
6
These
Stunden,
people
6
who
Stunden,
support you on social media
doch 6
via
Stunden
the likes and
Spielzeit
whatnot for
kriege
your
ich nichts
modern
zurück.
audience slop games, they never show up when you actually need them to. Like, what do you mean your Twitter post has more likes than people who actually bought your game day one, yet all these users who ran damage control for the 1348 game would call you a chud or something if you said that Knight's Path looked cooler to you? This is what I keep saying. Dear game studios, publishers, whoever, stop making your games.
Boah, das ist der zweite Boss, Nesuno. Boah, war der beschissen gewesen.
modern audience. How many times do I have to say this? They don't
Der war, als
exist, they
ob
don't
der
show
auf
up, and
Drogen
they will
wäre.
never support you financially because most of them are
Als ob
jobless
der
with no
Drogen
money
war. So rum.
anyways. You are catering to a crowd that can never actually support you the way you
Genau, das ist der Endgame. Du musst die zwei töten. Den habe ich getötet, der mit dem Messer hat gelebt. Den habe ich getötet. Hier ist eine Treppe. Ich wollte hier hochkommen. Ich bin an der Wand hängen geblieben. Also an der unsichtbaren Wand. Ich kam nicht weiter.
want to, so why even bother? Is it really worth spending millions of dollars and years of development time making these experiences for people who can't even shell out the $30 to buy your lesbian night game in the first place? But this is what I mean, right? Ex Vorto shot themselves in the foot by declaring Knight's Path the lesser game. Well, they sealed their fate. They told the normal, ordinary consumer base, hey, this game isn't for you. And yeah, they did not show up. Wow, color me surprised. And now look where it's gotten them. A barely existent player base, horrific reviews that no one would want attached to their games, and they are now the laughingstock of the internet as well. You know how bad you have to be for the gamer to score you poorly? Those people will eat up anything that is targeted towards them, even if it's slop. So this is a level of bad we haven't seen for quite a minute. And look, I'm not saying that, gay games, whatever, are bad, but if you're gonna make a gay game, make it great at least. I mean, this is just not it.
Das Spiel
And again,
kostet
you're probably
normalerweise
gonna probably
30
say,
Euro.
sure, we lost money,
Jetzt
sure, we
Angebot
lost
mit
credibility, but did we at least open
27
the
Euro.
shuts? And like usual, no, you didn't. You
Ja,
made more.
guck, das ist beim Boss Problem. Das hier ist seine Blockleiste. Du musst die runterbekommen, damit du den halt Schaden machst oder halt tötest, weil er hat da zwei Phasen. Und du hast so gefühlt halt 8, 9 Leben. Mit einem Schlag ein Leben weg. Und du bekommst sehr wenig runter, weil er kann blocken wie verrückt. Selbst wenn der außer Atem ist, du schlägst zu, der ist von jetzt auf gleich wieder in Blocksituation. Du kannst gefühlt nicht wirklich gut treffen, den Gegner. Oder Schaden machen, dass die Blockleiste schneller runtergeht. Daran haben die gefühlt auch nicht gedacht. Wenn jemand außer Atem ist, kannst du wenigstens ein, zwei Schläge machen, bevor er wieder zurückkommt und weiter blockt. Aber nee, der kann automatisch weiter blocken. Egal was der macht.
Slop just meant for the grinder again, but what if I told you all of this gets worse? Because now I'm gonna talk about the ending of the game if you don't mind.
Und
So
jetzt
if you don't want to
schlagen,
spoil it, I guess
schlagen,
stop
schlagen,
watching, but like, let's
blocken,
be honest,
blocken,
it's so
blocken,
dumb.
schlagen,
Like,
schlagen,
just
schlagen.
let me explain. It's
Tot.
ridiculous, dude. Let
So
me
was auch
set
bei
the
mir
scene for
gewesen.
how this all goes down, okay? Remember how the gamer said that third act twist made no sense? Yeah, they weren't kidding. So anyways, the whole game, like, right, you're running around this linear medieval Italy fighting white men looking for your lover Bianca. Because remember, they stole her while they burned down your village. Oh, those evil white men. But what if I told you it was all a ruse and it was orchestrated from the start to happen the way that it was? Here's where things get even more stupid. So Aida obviously is a highborn woman. That's why she's a knight, right? And then you have Bianca, that's her lover. She's lowborn. She was destined to be a maid or like something like that for the rest of her life. Anyway, Bianca always wanted status and power, but knew that she would never have it because, again, of her birth and all of that. So Bianca was destined to become something that she didn't want to become. So, and I swear I'm not kidding here, I'm being totally serious. Like, okay, look, just so nobody thinks I'm lying or something else, like, here's the big twist as to who is in command of these soldiers and all of this chaos. So, my God, please watch this clip from the game. Watch this.
I hoped you would come.
What the fuck?
Why? Why all of this?
You ask why? Do you not see? Standing there a night at last, as you always wished. My dear, sweet Ayeta.
I shall not be swayed by your honeyed words. I have come to end this.
But we have just begun. The old world is ending. The wars, the pestilence. This is our time, our only chance to build a new world from the ashes. One where we are no longer bound by birthright. where we can finally decide our own fate.
Das heißt, die hat gefühlt die Stadt niedergebrannt, nur um eine neue Weltordnung zu schaffen und damit die sich. Alter.
We can be free,
Jo.
both of us. Together.
Deswegen wurde ich damals auch nicht fliehen, wo wir sie retten
At
konnten.
what cost?
At any cost.
Oh Mann.
To build this, all of this, there is no other way.
Your men are killing innocents. It is not your blood being spent.
So that's why you've come. To make me pay the price.
I have come, so no more innocents will
Boah, ich
suffer.
glaube, der Boss wird mich auch abpacken.
Yeah, so it turns out that Bianca is the main villain of the game all along. Oh, but why do it, right? Why? Why cause all of this chaos? You're probably wondering that. Well, here's the reasoning, so watch this clip as well.
Give up this foolish struggle! Even now, I would forgive your betrayals. Of the others. Of me. Of us. Did it mean so little?
I was overlooked, underestimated, even by you. I was never a fool. While you dreamt of tales of Arthur and Lancelot, while your father indulged your swordplay, I had to claw my way up, out of the mud.
I could. We could do it together.
Not in this world. I have carved my own path, and I shall not give it up,
Ja,
even for you.
Yeah, so Bianca was the one who allied herself with the bandits and whatnot that ravaged Aieda's village. All because she didn't want to live as a peasant anymore and instead wanted power and money and status. So to her, it was a necessary evil, in her own words, to effectively allow dozens of innocent people, likely women and children mind you, just get completely slaughtered or worse by these bandit groups as payment to these bandits to let her live and be whisked away with them. Then somehow Bianca becomes the leader of these bandits, which is just ridiculous. Because if a low-born peasant woman was never able to succeed in her life, why would a group of heavily armed bandits, ranging in the dozens of groups, allow this like random young woman in like a backwater village to lead them? I guess it really doesn't matter, because either way, Bianca is now the leader of them because the plot demands it. Anyways, Aieta obviously is disgusted by what she's seeing and is even able to forgive Bianca for again allowing the slaughter of children just so that she could live in power and luxury. And then because of all of this, Bianca, realizing that Aieta would not listen or allow her to live in her weird LARPing role-playing dream where she's a bandit leader, which, let's be real, even if Aieta allowed Bianca to live, eventually if Bianca's group became like too bloodthirsty anyways, like the Kingdom of Italy or whatever else would eventually send their own knights
Alter.
and military power
Zum
and
Glück hast du
completely
mich
crush
bis hierhin
Bianca
geschafft.
anyways. Because
Der
what
Boss
does a
will mich
low-born
abfacken.
random peasant girl who knows nothing about combat gonna do against like an actual military might that knows how to fight?
Der ist auch ein bisschen scheiße, aber der
We
geht.
both know either way that Bianca would get cut down and slaughtered, right? Which makes the entire situation surrounding this game feel effectively pointless. But again, the plot needs to happen. So she basically just allows children and innocent people to just get slaughtered and no-scoped because she wanted to play bandit leader for a little bit is what she did. Aieta, obviously, ended up cutting down the majority of Bianca's group anyways, which again proves my point. Because how would a group of bandits led by a random small woman be any sort of threat if one single female knight, who's like 90 pounds at best, be able to systematically slaughter every single one of them with only a sword, mind you? Like, this is the worst bandit group I've ever seen. Like, you got annihilated by a 5'2", 90-pound woman. You should have known this bandit life wasn't for you, but whatever, anyways. Hilariously, though, as others have pointed out, this ending of a lesbian knight romance story story ends with two lesbians fighting each other, which is, I mean, come on, what are we doing, guys? Like, in case you don't know, right? And this is real, look it up. Lesbians as a group have the highest domestic violence rate out of any other group when it comes to that statistic. I'm not even being a bigot. That is real. Like, again, go look that up. Like, lesbians are out here just fighting each other like they're Tekken characters on a random Tuesday. Anyway, the fact that Zed Leo and Dear Villagers decided to enforce that stereotype to such a degree that your final boss fight is another lesbian is just like comical levels of what are we doing? I'm amazed that they thought that this would come off as profound. Like, this just tells me that nobody involved with this game is a real person, because it took me all of 5 seconds to look at this setup and start bursting out laughing at how stupid it all was. Anyways, how does Ex Vorto end, you may be asking? Well, here, watch this clip.
It was a steep price. The town was my dowry. To buy into this new life. Opening the gates. Leading them inside. It was a necessary evil. But I made certain you were spared. That you were far from harm that day.
You planned everything. Betrayed everyone.
It was fine for you. You who have only ever seen what you wanted, heard what you wanted from inside your gilded cage. I had no such fortune. As a low-born woman, as a peasant, I was treated like chattel. There can be no change without sacrifice.
So viele
Without
Tote,
suffering.
ein neues Leben.
Power can only come from strength. Look at you. With this freedom we've claimed, your own path has led you to become a knight.
That is not strength. It is cruelty. I hear your pain. But how can any of this be fair and just, founded on the blood of innocence? Bianca, there must be another way. Leave all of this. Just come with me.
Nee.
Straight from one of your tales. You are naive, Aeta. Most of us aren't born into power. I won't let you take it from me.
All those months ago. In this madness. No matter how far we have fallen, we still remain. But at what cost to us?
What choice did I have? I had nothing.
Oh
I'd
Mann.
sacrifice everything.
Das gefühlt eine Soft-Opera. So eine Drama, so. Ja, ich wollte nicht mehr sozusagen ein Bauer sein. Ich wollte Macht haben, Geld, Macht und so weiter über viele herrschen. Und dann so, ja. Und dann so, ja, komm zurück, mach das nicht. Ja.
This world has been unfair and cruel to you. I fear the price of all this for you and me.
Okay, hätte ich das Spiel nur zu Ende gespielt, die Stelle überlebt, hätte ich das mitbekommen, ich dachte so, Alter, seriously?
Very well.
Die ganze Kämpfe, die ganze Fluchen nur wegen so einer Scheiße oder was?
Oh, my noble Aeta.
Willst du mich verarschen?
Would thou aid this damsel to rise?
Wer hat überlebt?
Finger licking good.
That's right. In the end, Bianca didn't regret her decisions, and she was willing to let as many people die as possible if it meant she could
Boah, ja. Der Typ hier mit der scheiß Stangenwaffe. Der ist der schlimmste Gegner im ganzen Game. Der Typ ist der schlimmste überhaupt im ganzen Game. Der hat so eine beschissene Attacke, was du sagen, nicht normal blocken kannst. Du musst entweder ausweichen oder perfekt parieren. Aber der macht so langsam, dass er zusticht. Und die Parade muss genau Millisekunden davor sein, musst du machen. Ansonsten trifft er dich.
live in luxury. So naturally,
Die sind
Aeta
so
ends
ekelhaft, die
Bianca,
Gegner.
and a lesbian romance story ends in a fight where Aeta mortally wounds Bianca and ends her. And that's how 1348 Ex Vorto ends. Good lord, dude, this is a real video game. Look, I'll give Sedlia one thing, right? The voice acting is great. Like both actors, like the main characters, I mean, they do a great job with what they're given here. It's just that the animations, the production, the lighting, basically everything else that is meant to sell this story is just laughably bad. This could have been a cool game. It could have been something people could have actually celebrated, but time and time again, these things are being undermined by the absolute state of Western game design like all of the time, dude. Like, what are we doing? These characters, man, they look more like ragdolls that are given life through like a wish than actual breathing characters. Their mouths, they move weird. Their eyes, they look lifeless too, even in that final fight scene that you just watched. Just the way that the lighting is done, you can't even see what's going on, dude. I even turned up my brightness while watching it, and even then, like, it just doesn't look great. But hey, that's what the game was. They thought this was fine, so they made it, they slapped it together, and they sent it off to the reviewers and the players. So it is what it is for the rest of time. The cherry on top of this turd pie, however, is how I knew this comment that the 1348 Ex Vorto devs made would come back to bite them one day. So I made sure to bookmark it and screenshot it over a month ago because I just know it would be funny, and you should screenshot it too because, man, you can use it as a gotcha as much as you want. It's awesome. But anyway, this is where like a user asked like the developers why the characters in the game are ugly, and the devs responded with, and no, I'm not kidding, why do you expect a woman to necessarily be attractive?
That's what I'm talking about.
Just delicious, dude. The prime steak of a gotcha comment, served up piping hot and fresh with a side of french fries and gravy and a nice assortment of garden vegetables. Thank you, said Leo and dear villagers. Thank you for this game. Thank you for proving that yet again the modern audience doesn't exist, and that toxic positivity and virtue signaling will always result in the worst games ever conceived, no matter the genre, the budget, or the message. 1348 Ex Vorto is the greatest example of what not to do in 2026 or any year before or after it. Absolutely horrendous, and all I can do is smile and laugh at this all. Like, what a waste, what a mess. My god, is it pathetic to see. But that was the game that was meant to be the chosen one, so what do you think? Did you play it? God, I hope not, but if you did, let me know. Subscribe if you like to. Apologies for the cringe from the game, but I think we all came out the other end wiser. Thanks for watching, see you guys next time, and don't forget to check this game off of your
Ist einfach nicht gut überdacht, aber so rum. Es war einfach nicht gut überdacht. Wenn die mal reingeguckt hätten im Game, die Kämpfe, das Problem ist bei dem Spiel, es hat keinen Schwierigkeitsgrad. Das heißt, es ist einfach so, wie es ist. Du kannst dich auf leicht machen, du kannst gar nichts machen. Es gibt keine Schwierigkeitsgrade in dem Game. Egal was ist. Du bist einfach dran. Wenn du nicht zurechtkommst, hast verkackt. Du bist einfach dran.
Hello, party people. I've played whatever this
100%.
is, so now you have to
Boah.
subscribe for the sacrifice I made here. Let's just see
Er
what
hat
went
alle
wrong
jetzt
here.
Erfolge
Oh,
geholt.
there will be
Ah,
spoilers,
der arme
but
Mann.
you don't play the game, so everything is fine. The game is really short, so my footage is very limited.
For the evils of women cannot be redeemed
Uh.
or bartered away.
6.
First,
Yeah.
a fair warning to everyone with motion sickness: don't play this game or you will paint the walls with your food, even with motion blur
100%
off.
gemacht in
You can
dem
see
Game.
that very well in
Alter,
the
der arme
video
Mann.
too, so if you have motion
Bringt
sickness
das.
and are watching the video, I hope you
Das
do
ist
not
einfach
make
nur
a bucket. Or
ein...
two. It all begins and ends with characters, and Ayata is our main character here.
Wir haben
Sadly,
so
she
viel Geld in dem
manages to
Game
be both bland
reingesteckt
and annoying.
und
Bland
einfach
as
nicht
in not very
über
developed
Spiel
at all, and her
nachgedacht.
journey doesn't really do
Oder
anything
keinen
beyond,
reingebracht,
I
der
made
das Spiel
this vow
spielt.
and I have to honor it.
Der
There's no
Spieltester.
growth, inner battles or decisions which impact our
Einfach keine
character.
Spieltests
Well,
reingemacht.
maybe one at the end, but we'll get to that. Speaking of the vow, it's mentioned a lot. Ayata doesn't let you forget she made one. It seems like the devs are very, very proud of their tagline
Ja,
and had to
ein
shove it
Schießgebet.
wherever possible. In fact, if you want to get absolutely hammered, you should take a shot every time the word vow is mentioned. I guarantee you, you'll need new liver by the end of the game. Ayata
Ja,
also
ich
has
habe
the
einen Eid
tendency to
geschworen. Ich
narrate
weiß, was
and have
meint.
opinion about every little thing in the game. There's not a minute where she doesn't say something. Don't believe me? Here's a little collage of Ayata recorded seconds apart.
These ruins are old, abandoned long before the trail was. I hope these are the right kind. This place was large. A village, perhaps? Yet it feels small, fleeting, compared to the trees. I could see. Ayeta, do not play on the castle walls. A hunter's platform, but no sign of the hunter. Far safer to hunt boar from a perch. Oh, San Francesco and the wolf. Our priest would tell me this tale. Another trinket for Bianca's Ex Vorto necklace. This place feels different somehow, as if the forest holds its breath. An ancient oak. The lord of this forest. My name is Ayata, mio signore. I search your woods for my friend.
Imagine playing your favorite game of all times and the main character just never shutting up and telling the player what's happening on the screen every 10 seconds. You would love it, wouldn't you? She does that throughout the game and it never stops, and it becomes very annoying very fast. Sometimes it's better to show and not tell, and soon you'll wish Ayata would take a vow of silence instead of the one saving her, let's call her best friend Bianca, who was seemingly taken away at the beginning of the game. Bianca is pretty much the only other character we get to meet a bit better, and she's
Das
written
stimmt.
even worse than
Ayata,
Ayata. I'm going to spoil the ending here, so
ist,
if you don't want to know anything about it, and I don't
die
know
sagt
why
sehr
you
viel
wouldn't,
in dem Game.
jump ahead to the timestamp in the description. For anyone who stayed, let's play a little trivia game. Who do you think is the final boss of the game? A. Your mom. B. Fenso, the guy we already killed. RIP Fenso, best character 2026. Or C. Bianca. If you answered B, we can't be friends anymore because Fenso is innocent. The answer is C, and it doesn't make any sense at all. Bianca apparently orchestrated the whole thing. How did she get armored knights under her wing? I don't know, she just did. She's of low birth and a woman of all things, and she's very salty about it. So we know she did
Jetzt, wenn ich es anschaue, wie zum Geier kann die so gut kämpfen? Kann doch nicht sein, dass die sagen, die wurde ausgebildet von dem Vater, weil sie hochgeboren ist. Die ist eine Bäuerin, wenn man so nimmt, und so ein Bauer. Wie kann die so gut kämpfen, dass die besiegt?
have any money, and her giving the town as dowry doesn't make any sense in her becoming a leader. Also, she will never let you forget she is a woman. Never. Oh yeah, she also becomes master swordsman in a matter of months. What a prodigy. Her character and motivation don't make any sense in the grand scheme of things, and it seems the twist at the end is there for the sake of subverting our expectations. It just doesn't work. Other characters are pretty much there just as plot devices. There's a lord who shows up with some hilarious voice acting, A farmer who led the bandits and Aeta scolds him, even though the poor farmer boss was pretty much forced to rob people in order to survive. And of course we have a Catholic order of flagellants, which are very, very evil, because of course they are. Aeta also loses Bianca 3 times during the course of the game. Every time we find her, she's taken away again, and we're back to square one. This is very obviously a plot device and not written well at all. There's not much else to the story. We get mentions of Black Plague, but that plot point doesn't go anywhere, and the ending is probably one of the worst endings since Mind's Eye. I wish I could say there's something good about the story, but there isn't. Except for Fenso, of course.
Need a hand? She putting up a fight again, Fenso?
Fenso. Stimmt, das war der Typ gewesen.
Fenso! Did you get her? Cease with your jesting, Fenso.
Rest in peace, Fenso.
Stimmt, das war Fenso gewesen.
That must be the Villa de Frate. No, Flagellante. Nessuno spoke of.
Okay, so the game is very linear and there's almost nothing to explore. You can find some trinkets here and there and very, very few sword parts which you can change on the fly. In theory, this should affect your stances and your damage with them, but the effect is not very noticeable, so you can mix and match until you get the sword you like visually, but there's not a lot of options. Mix and matching will not have any repercussions in combat, not that I could see. You can find some secrets, but they're not hidden very well, so you'll be able to find everything in one run, which, lucky me. In order to do that, you'll have to do some platforming, which is done poorly because sometimes you'll actually manage to get on the platforms you weren't supposed to, and the invisible wall will say, nope, you're not doing that, while other times you think you can jump on something, but Aeta has a vertical of maybe 2 centimeters, and it's pretty funny when you try to jump on the spot and she does this little hop even 5-year-olds would laugh at. Level design, not counting the graphics, is very uninspired. Yes, the game is linear, but that's no excuse. There's a lot of linear games where you can enjoy both level design and finding some secrets despite no open world.
Yeah.
You can't open any chests or doors, just whatever the game decides you can, which is trinkets, sword parts, paper and food. Trinkets are pretty much the only thing in the game with any meaningful effect on the game. Some of them will double your health, while others will have a chance of dealing more guard damage to the enemy or chance to find double the food which we need for healing. Leveling is very bare bones. You'll find paper, which you need for improving your skills, but the choice here is not exactly deep. You can improve your health, guard and how much food you can carry, or decide to improve your attacks and blocks. Improving the first 3 is by far the best choice from the beginning, because you can carry very little food at the beginning and you have very little health too. So improving those is pretty much an obvious choice. And now, combat. It's messy, it doesn't really have much tactic and it isn't improved from the demo. In fact, I'll argue it's worse the farther you go into the game. The
Ja,
worst thing about combat
das
is
stimmt.
camera.
Es geht noch
It zooms
schlimmer.
in too close and there's no setting to not do that, so you'll not be able
Ja.
to see any.
Ja, die Kamera ist beschissen. Ich hatte Kampf gehabt, du hast gekämpft, nach einmal war die Kamera hinter dem Busch gewesen. Du hast gar nichts gesehen, was der Typ macht, wo ich bin. Du hast gar nichts gesehen. Das ist mehr ein Vorteil für den Gegner als für mich gewesen, die Kameraführung. Ja.
Environment, and you can get stuck on pillars or stones because you just didn't see them. There's also a lot of invisible walls in combat which will mess you up. Combat
Ja, das
itself is
stimmt.
not hard and it becomes pretty boring fast. Enemies' AI is very weird. Sometimes they'll just take hits while other times they'll counter with the speed of Starship Voyager at full warp, and there's nothing you can do about it because you can't animation cancel, so if you attacked and hit the enemy and he decides to become Zoro, you're out of luck and he will hit you. The prologue is pretty much the same as we saw in the demo and there's no surprise there, but later on your enemies will combine normal attacks with the unblockable ones. In theory, this should make the combat better, but the problem is the dodge is really bad. Very dodgy, you could say. Blocking is okay, you block and lose stamina when you do your guard breaks and you're open to a free hit. Same with your enemy, you hit them to reduce their guard and once you break it, you can damage them directly. Dodge on
Yeah.
the other hand is just not working. Ayata seems to be able to dodge the same distance as a person suffering from both their ankles being broken, and you'll get hit a lot even though you've pressed dodge at the correct time. Multiple times. It just doesn't work as it should and it's very frustrating. So the best tactic for enemies with unblockable attacks is to keep your distance and break their gut with a flurry of attacks and then kill them with one charge attack if you found the trinkets which allows you to do so. Fighting the multiple enemies is very weird. Most of the time you'll fight one at a time and the others will wait their turn because we all know that's how fights work. I've noticed enemies work on proximity. This means you can attract more than one enemy and in close quarters you will, but most of the time they'll just pace menacingly until you dispose of their friend and yell to press their advantage as you do so. Dude, I just slaughtered 2 of your friends. What do you mean advantage? Boss fights are pretty bad. The number of bosses is 3. I know, they didn't hold back. And it's pretty much a normal enemy on crack, which makes his guard regenerate much faster and you have to be a bit more aggressive. First 2 bosses are very easy to beat and the last one has this annoying artificial difficulty spike where they have almost unlimited attacks, a lot of which you can't block and have to use the worst dodge in the history of gaming. It's also 3 rounds and by 3rd round I just didn't care anymore, I just wanted to finish the game. So overall combat is clunky, not really tactical and very bare bones. It feels like no one was really sure what they want to do with combat.
Wie gesagt, der letzte Boss hat 3 Phasen. Alter, will ich verarschen?
And they just slapped something together.
We have orders. Take her to the cathedral.
Ja, 2 von denen, Alter. Ah, fick dich.
Alive.
Depends.
There is one good thing in the game and that is the visuals. Not of the characters, that's a whole other bag of worms, but the environment isn't bad at all.
Genau, hier. Hier komme ich nicht weiter, Lieben. Hier sterbe ich immer. Und hier habe ich gelöscht. Also gelöscht. Bin aus dem Spiel ausgegangen und gelöscht. Hier ist meine Schwachstelle momentan. Hier komme ich nicht weiter.
There's some very nice architecture here, especially the ancient Roman statues you find in one part of the game, and people who worked on the environment can give themselves a pat on the back. It's just shame the visuals are never used to their potential. It's also a shame we can't really take the visuals in because Aeta never keeps her mouth shut. I really do like the setting. Italy in medieval times is a prime place to have your game in. It just wasn't used very well. Characters are another story. Whoever worked on mouth animations had to be joking, because the expressions are hilarious. Aita also seems to have a bad case of yellow teeth and is the only one to have them. Maybe that's why Bianca isn't too keen to get close to her, or maybe she's just tired of everything being described to her by Aita. I would be. I was. Anyway, there's some armor which looks nice, but mostly we have the generic knight or peasant look, and apart from the environment, everything else looks very uninspired. Voice acting is, again, okay. Ayata's voice actor is actually not bad, but again, she just gets on your nerves in the first 15 minutes and you'll wish she just kept quiet. That's not the fault of the voice actress though, she did very well with what she was given. Bianca is voiced by the superstar of voice acting Jennifer English and she's okay. Again, not to her fault, the script just is what it is and there's just so much she can do with it. Oh, and then there's this.
Pestilence!
You're not one of them. The church. They took dissenters to the church.
Lucky for me, 1348 Ex Vorto is only about 4 hours long. I say luckily because the game just isn't good, and the more I played it, the more I wish the end credits will roll. There's just nothing here I can recommend. The story is bad, The combat is there, and the part that's missing from the game is any fun. I remember playing the hilariously bad Golem a few years ago. Ex Voto as the game is better crafted and not as bad as Golem, but I actually laughed and had some fun in Golem.
Wie macht er so viel Schaden? Bei mir geht's gar nicht. Oh, ich muss die Teile ändern. Ich muss mal gucken.
Stem from the game being bad, but at least I had a reaction to the game. Ex Voto doesn't have any of that. It was pretty much just autopilot to the end of the game. The only reaction I had was saying "shut up" to Ata multiple times, and that was it. I'm going to give a piece of advice to the developers here. If you're going to base your marketing by going after someone else's game, you better deliver a prime gaming experience. If you can't, then maybe base it on something else, because now you have people making fun of you on the social media. I won't make fun, but I also won't pretend this is a good game just because it's made by a small studio and it's a new indie IP. From what I've seen, it's also a dead IP. It's not worth the money, and you can spend 4 hours doing something better, like mowing the lawn, for example. Small studio isn't an excuse for a bad game, and politics definitely isn't. That's it for this video. If you liked it, consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the
Die Stelle
next
ist auch noch
one.
beschissen.
Bye.
Ja, die Stelle. Mal schauen. Vielleicht irgendwann installiere ich es wieder und probiere es nochmal, aber oh, Alter, das muss nicht sein. Aber das wird mal völlig gewesen sein. Ich hoffe, es hat euch Spaß gemacht. Ein bisschen reingeschaut, 348 paar Spiele angeschaut. Und natürlich auch Livian. Vielen Dank für den Raid. Ich hoffe, es hat dir Spaß gemacht, noch hier zuzuschauen. Daher wünsche ich mal eine gute Nacht. Schlaft schön. Und wir sehen uns bestimmt die Tage wieder. Aber ich denke mal eher am Mittwoch, Montag, Dienstag nicht so viel Zeit. Hab da Spätschicht oder Mittagsschicht. Komm spät heim. Daher höchstwahrscheinlich erst am Mittwoch kommt der nächste Stream. Daher schlaf gut und bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao, ciao.